Hey everyone. Hi. Listen, I'm so excited to be on here with you all. And so, if you don't know who I am Chandrika Cook. I'm a licensed professional therapist in Alabama and in Florida, and I'm working on Georgia and California. And I am the owner, CEO, owner, therapist, visionary for the Cultivation Center. And our main objective is to create community mental health education and merging mental health and ministry. Those are our two main objectives. And today I want to do a mental health education when finding a therapist. So the last 2 weeks, I've had a couple of friends say, I need a therapist in such and such area. And I didn't have any colleagues that I could refer them to. But I told them that they need to go in psychology today. And so they told me, they came back, they was like, I got overwhelmed. I don't know what I'm doing. And so I was like, how? So I end up doing the search for them. And we can do that for you at the Cultivation Center for free. So if you're looking for a therapist, we can definitely, if you're in Alabama, I can definitely refer you to 100. We have a catalog of therapists that we can definitely refer you to. But if you're out of state and looking for a therapist, we can definitely help you look for a therapist in your area and get you the right therapist to fit your needs. So today I want to do finding a therapist 101. Whew. Yes, finding a therapist 101. And we're going to use psychology today because that's the most predominant platform for your finding a therapist. It has great filters. There are more, but their filters are great for us to use. And it's kind of easy to navigate once you know what you're looking for. So before you start looking for a therapist, you need to ask yourself 3 questions. Question number 1. What kind of therapist do I want? Do I want a male or female? Do I want to incorporate my beliefs into my therapy sessions? Is there a particular theory that I'm looking for? Is there a particular person I'm looking for? Do I want a person that looks like me, or it doesn't matter? These are things you need to ask yourself before you even get to this place of looking for a therapist. So I'm going to actually use one of my friends who is a male. He was looking for a male or female therapist. He had United Health Insurance, and he wanted to incorporate his spirituality, but he also wanted the option of not incorporating his spirituality, and he wanted the option to have in-person and or virtual, right? Because telehealth is definitely something new. It is a new age way of therapy. So these are things that you need to know that you want as well, right? And so I had to ask him all these questions to help filter out, to use these filters here on Psychology Today. So he lives in the Atlanta area. So the first thing we're going to do is, since he gave me all the information, is I'm going to put Atlanta, I can spell, Atlanta, Georgia is going to pop up. So I'm going to click on that. And once it pops up, it's going to automatically give me the therapist in the area, right? And so what I want to do is I want to use the filters that they already have right here. So I already know his issue he wants to deal with is very, I don't even want to think about the issue. I want to do insurance first. So we're going to look up United Health. So we're going to go more insurance. So we're going to click on United Healthcare. We're not going to think about gender, but we are going to think about he wants someone that looks like him, right? And so we want to think about that. So after do that, we have all these great men and women who come up who are part of it. So if you know a particular type of therapy you want, and so I want to go through these acronyms because a lot of times we be like, oh, that sounds, we do something. So CBT is cognitive behavior therapy. What that simply means is they focus, that therapists specialize in focusing on retraining your thoughts and behaviors. Trauma focus, if that's what you really need to focus on, that's TF. You'll see that there, or you'll see TC, trauma focus, or trauma crisis, right? So you'll see those acronyms by them. You'll see mindfulness based. That just means they use mindfulness techniques, and mindfulness is the ability to do deep breathing, centering, journaling, things of that nature, right? Family and marital, that's psychodynamics, right? Psychodynamics is that we don't just focus on one area, we focus on the holistic approach of a person. Emotional focus, that's people who usually have a hard time expressing emotions or over express emotions. Dialectical behavior therapy is usually used for people who have anxiety issues or who are dealing with substance abuse issues. Attachment based, ACT, acceptance and commitment. A lot of times we may see these acronyms: EMDR, which means eye motion desensitization reprocessing. So this is a great, if you had some severe trauma or you're trying to really get through a traumatic moment, this is definitely good therapy for those situations. Okay, so these are just some commonalities that you'll see, and some more things, but these are some of the things you'll see, and they have some of the abbreviations in parentheses. And of course, there are more, but I wanted to kind of overview those. So let's look at what these letters mean. LMFT. So LMFT means licensed marriage and family therapist, right? And so I want to talk about what's the difference between a therapist and a counselor. Then what's the difference between the LMFT, LPC, and I'm sure I'm going to find, let's see, oh my, okay. And LCSW. I was hoping I'd find one. So let's go back up to the top. An LMFT is a licensed marriage and family therapist. That means that their scope of practice is based upon a family component, right? They're going to ask about your family background. They're going to examine how family is affecting your mental health. They're going to seek out a family connection. Okay, that's what that means. An LPC is a licensed professional counselor, and they kind of have it right here. So an LPC is a counselor who really focuses on anything about 5 years to present, right? They don't dig in deep into that family dynamics. They kind of just deal with what you bring them, right? And they kind of may go back in the past, but not too far in the past, right? So a counselor doesn't go too far back in the past, but they go far enough to gain information on how it applies to the present. A therapist, however, will dig in deep. We going to the root. What about your mama and them? What about your dad and them? What about, your aunties, your uncles, your grandparents and them, right? They're going to dig in deep. They're going to find roots. They're going to examine childhood things. They're going to bring it all that information back to the present situation, right? And so that's what they do. Let's go down to the bottom. My LCSW means is a clinical licensed social worker. And so what this person does, or what their focus is more about resources, connecting you to the places that you lack. They're doing counseling, but their counseling is more centered around what do you need? How can we get you there? How can we meet that need, right? It's all about meeting needs, not more emotional driven. They're more needs resource driven, right? They come from that therapeutic approach of need and resource driven approach. What's the need? How do we meet the need? What steps do we need to meet that need, and how we get there? So there's some counseling aspects, but it's not so in depth as it would be for a therapist or a counselor, right? They are present driven. We're talking about present moment. What's the present situation? What are we focusing on? And then steps to get through that present situation from a clinical aspect. Okay. So just want to give you those things, right? This person is a doctor in psychologist. She has a doctor in psychology. And so what is the difference between a psychiatrist and a psychologist? A psychologist's main job is to examine the emotion. They do more of your testing. So if you say, hey, I want to be tested for ADHD, I want to be evaluated for anxiety and depression, right? That's what they do. As far as a psychiatrist, they give out the medication, y'all. They're not really in depth. They're looking for the symptoms to fit a diagnosis, and then they're going to give you the medication to help you with that diagnosis. Okay. A LCSW is not able to diagnose, right? So if they have an I in front of their names, they are certified to diagnose. LPCs, LMFTs, and you see another person. Let me see. LPCs, LMFTs. One more person I'm gonna give you. Let me see, CC. I'm sorry. And it's LMHCs, which is a licensed mental health counselor. All of those people are able to diagnose you. They're able to give you a right then diagnosis, right? They're able to give you a diagnosis after examining you. But that's not just after one session, that's after a couple of sessions. They're able to put in a diagnosis. So they capture a diagnosis at first in first session for billing purposes, but then they kind of prove evidence of that diagnosis as you continue to go on. Okay. So I think that's so what you need to look for when you're looking for a counselor. You need to look for LPC, right? LCHM, LCMHC behind their name, or LMFT or LSW, right? So you'll see it. So they always have licensed professional counselor. Now, here's the good thing about psychology, that there are some associates. What's an associate? So associate is someone who has not is licensed, but not completely licensed in the practice. So they may be in a part of transitioning to full licensure, right? They're licensed partially. They're under the supervision of a licensed clinician, and so that's what they do, right? So that's who they are. They're under a supervision of a licensed clinician, and so they're in the process of gaining hours. So let's just say, what do I need to do next? What I need to look for? How do I know a counselor is good for me? Right. So I already gave you what the definitions mean. We talked about the theories. So say for instance, I am looking for a Black male counselor, right? I'm gonna first look, and so I'm gonna ask myself, do I want to deal with family issues, or do I want to just deal with me? So if I was dealing with family issues, I'm gonna click on Mo A. Brown, and so I'm gonna look at his screen. I'm gonna look and see what he's about, right? So what I want to look for on his profile or anybody's profile, I want to look at their specialties. What do they specialize in? Well, for my friend, he wanted to talk about man issues. So I'm gonna make sure I focus on that. This person specializes in transgender and relationship issues, right? He's focused on certain sexual orientations. And then these are the issues he's focusing on. Well, here's the thing. He doesn't focus on anything that I want to focus on. I may want to focus on self-care. He has self-esteem, but he doesn't have self-care. So that's not the person I want, right? And so a lot of times, a lot of the clinicians have videos that you can see. Also, what I want to look for is, does this person offer a free 15-minute counseling session, right? And so this particular provider does offer a 15-minute counseling session, right? We already know they're not in our network, right? As far as they take our insurance. The second thing I want to look at is, does this person offer telehealth, or are they just in person, right? So I'm going to look and it's usually at the top. But if you don't see at the top, look towards the bottom to see if they offer in person. And so you'll usually, so right here, If I click on telehealth, it'll tell me. So they offer in person, and so it gives me the price for in person, and it gives me the price for telehealth, or in this case, teletherapy, right? And so that's how we'll know, like, okay, yeah, meet some of my requirements, but not all my requirements. So I need to go back. Okay. So that's a great way for you to finalize. And you can filter out a little bit further, right? Like we can use more filters. So say for instance, I want them to, their sexual orientation, I want them to have Christian faith, and so it's gonna filter that. I want them to be a believer. Like I'm a believer. I want them to be a believer. What you also need to look at is there a waiting list for new clients? So right here, it's gonna highlight waiting list for new clients, right? If it doesn't say that, that means that they're open, right? So say for instance, I want to do CBT. So I can keep filtering. And then maybe I just want all men. Show me women. Show me men. Show me non-binary, right? So I just want men. So now my filter is getting further and further. And so my list becomes smaller and smaller. And so now I have a list that I can examine. And then I'm going to make sure that they offers online therapy. See, offers online therapy. I want that. I also want to make sure they're in my area and close by. I want to make sure that they do cognitive development. I want to make sure that you're Black. I want to make sure that they're believers, right? So all of these things are being filtered out. And so we can see this in all of the results that we have here. So that's a great way to use this. And so we can do that for anybody, right? And so some of the clients, some of the counselors may be licensed in multiple states. So you may see them, like this particular client says Birmingham Family Counseling and Medication Center, right? So they may be located in Birmingham, but they may have an office in Georgia, right? Or they may have an office at another location. And so that's a great way to see it as well. And again, not accepting new clients. So all of those things are there as well. So say for instance, hey, somebody say, I need you to look up the cultivation center, right? Birmingham. Bam, you can go into the search engine and you can pull up the cultivation center, and there we are. And it talks about our specialties. It talks about our issues that we address. There's my video, client focus, ages that I talk to, community and allyship, types of therapy that I specialize in, my costs, right? The insurance that I place, how many years I've been into practice. And it talks about I've been endorsed and things like that. And then it talks about my mentorship program and debriefing. So some of them have other groups that they do that you can join as well. And maybe you can do group therapy just to get a feel of who they are. So I hope this helps everybody find the perfect therapist, right? And so when you're shopping, at least get you 6 therapists, do 6 consultations. Make sure you are asking the right questions. So I'm going to do a video. What questions do you ask when finding, once you in that consultation space, what questions do you ask? So we'll do a video on that next. So I hope this helps. So go ahead, seek out your therapist. Use Psychology Today. It's a great way. It has great filters. And I'm on there. Duh. So go ahead, find your therapist. And if you ever need us, you can always contact us at 205-270-5944. Even if you're not in the state of Alabama or Florida, you can always contact us, and we can definitely point you in the right direction. And we can even walk you through finding the perfect therapist. Hope this helps. You all have a great day. Bye.